What's up? What's up? Hello Orchid fans, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year, and this also marks 1 year of my channel. So I started this channel last New Year's Eve. So it's been exactly 1 year since I started my YouTube channel, and I honestly couldn't thank you guys enough for all your support, for watching my videos, for your comments, for subscribing to my channel. I got over 400 subscriptions in a year, and it may sound like a small number, but to me it means so much. Honestly, thank you guys so much. And it's been, such a year, honestly. I uploaded over 100 videos in that 1 year. It's just unbelievable. I never imagined, I would have so many videos in a year. But it's been so fun, and I'm definitely gonna continue, and there'll be more coming, on this channel. So keep an eye for that. And as you might know, I mentioned in my previous videos that I changed my job, and I am going to be a lot more busier with my job. So I don't think I'll have another 100 videos next year, but we'll see how we go. But I am planning to upload videos regularly, so watch this space. Hopefully you'll enjoy them. I hope you enjoyed them so far. I had so much fun, making these videos, and learned so much as well. So yeah, it's been a great experience so far. So I think we'll just go through orchids again. It's gonna be a monthly my collection update, as I do every month. So this is gonna be pretty much the same. I think I'm maybe gonna go into a bit more detail on how my orchids are doing, just so you can have a good look at them all. So it's probably going to be a lengthy video, so apologies. I know not a lot of people have so much time to watch lengthy videos, but I usually don't make videos too lengthy, so hopefully one in a while is not going to be too much. So I appreciate your time. Thank you in advance for watching it. And yeah, let's jump in and let's see how these babies are doing. Okay, I'll start with my windowsill and with my cooler growers. My Pleurothallis dilemma. I kept saying to you guys that I can't get the new growths to grow. So I've got this new growth, and as you can see, it is actually a lot shorter than the previous growths, and it's a lot smaller as well. The tip is drying off, so I don't know if this is gonna kind of dry off altogether, because this new growth that I had here, it did the same thing. It started drying up at the tip, and it just completely dried off. This one though, it has established a lot more, and you can see it's actually developing a bud in here as well. So it's opening up this area for the bud to come out. The horns are still kind of stuck together, so it's still got some growing to do, and I hope it will keep growing rather than drying off. So we'll see how it goes. It's also got a bud here. It's just opening, so it's not fully open yet. This plant, it blooms constantly, so I'm really happy with it, but as I say, it's just so difficult to get those new growths to establish properly. I'll see. I hope that this one will actually eventually establish itself and grow well. I think it was probably the temperature issue. Now that it's sitting on my windowsill, I try and keep my window open as much as I can, to keep the temperature down here in this area. And I finally managed to get this growth to juice a bit more than usual. So I hope that it's the temperature that was wrong with it. But I don't see any more new growths coming out, so that's a bit of a shame. It was pushing out the new growths like crazy. They were all kind of aborting, so maybe now it managed to push a new growth out. Maybe that's why it's now stopped. So we'll see how it goes. It's I don't know if it will, you know, be with me for too long or if it's gonna die again. I'm not sure, but we'll see. And my two Masdevallia, so after I move them into leca, they seem to also kind of grow a bit better. So the new growths, you know, they are pushing on and they're getting now a bit taller than before. I believe this is a new growth that just recently finished growing. So as you can see, it's pretty tall compared to, you know, the other growths. So, you know, again, I think the lower temperature is kind of helping them out. Same with this one. This is a new growth and you can see it's quite a bit taller than the previous growths. And this is the growth that I got it with, I believe. Oh no, so yeah, I'm not sure actually. Maybe that one is also a new one, but they were pretty tall. And when I had it just sitting on my shelves, all these other new growths, you know, when they were growing, they just were very, very short. And now they seem to be developing a lot better. So again, I think that the lower temperature is actually, you know, they are enjoying it. And my Dendrobium cuthbertsonii hybrid, it's also growing pretty well in here. I don't think it really cares, you know, about the temperature. It doesn't seem to mind whether it's lower temperature or higher temperature. It seems to kind of grow pretty well. It's got a bud here, so we'll see a flower soon. It's got quite a lot of new growths coming out everywhere. So yeah, it seems to be doing pretty well. So I am thinking to repot it at some point. But on the other hand, I kind of don't really want to touch it. I just want to let it be and do its thing and, you know, just let them all like establish well, you know, in the current pots before I move them anywhere. So yeah, that's how they're doing. And check out my Sharry baby. It's massive as it was, but I repotted it fairly recently, and look at all these roots. There is just so many roots coming out of here, and if I turn it around, there is another new growth right here, and look at the roots. And then further along, there is a lot of roots in here as well. So it's pushing out so many new roots. And the new growths are establishing as well. I mean, they're starting off and they're still pretty small, but I think it will get used to leca pretty quickly, you know, with all these new roots coming. It's gonna be a massive plant, so this one is doing pretty well. I hope you guys will be able to see with all this light. My Dendrobium Burana Twist, after it established this new growth, I was hoping it will bloom at some point. But, you know, I can see something in the middle there, but it's been like that for months and nothing is establishing, so we might actually not get a bloom. Yeah, it's kind of just sitting, not really doing much, so I'm a bit disappointed. I was really, you know, hoping for a bloom, but nothing yet. My Psychopsis Mariposa Three Lips, it's pushing out new roots, and the new growth, which is this one here, it's now kind of fully established. I keep looking at the base to see if it will push out a new growth or a new spike. So something is growing here at the base, but it's still pretty small to see whether it's going to be a spike or a new growth, but hopefully something will come out of that. And the two spikes that it's got, they are still green, you know, the tips are still green, but they've been like that forever, so they're not really pushing out any new flowers yet. So I don't know if it's resting or if it's still trying to establish itself in leca, but yeah, I've not seen blooms on this for a while now, but I'm sure they will come back. And my Phalaeonopsis NoID, this is the big one, my first ever orchid, is currently in bloom. I don't know if you can see, but it's got this kind of pink tinge at the top here, and you know, it used to be like fully white. So that's quite interesting that it's establishing these new, you know, like new kind of colors, new tinges. It's quite cool. These flowers opened a while ago and they're still very fresh and very nice looking, so I'm enjoying them a lot. And my Eulophia petersii over there is developing this new growth, and it is, you know, this bulb is maturing. Not sure if it's gonna be bigger or not than this one, but check out this leaf. It's going up and over the lamps. It's so tall, you know, and it's not like bending over, so it's super tall orchid right now. Also, it's only got one leaf. You know, you can see the previous growth has got two leaves going that way and this way. This one is just got this one super long leaf, and I don't know if this is the second leaf or if this is just gonna be like a sheath that will dry off eventually and come off. So yeah, we'll see what happens with this one, but so far it seems to be growing pretty well. The bulb is not shriveling, so it looks like it's hydrating itself, so I'm hoping that the roots inside of the pot are good as well. So yeah, not doing too bad. And this is my Luisia primulina. It's quite tall, it keeps growing, so it's pushing out this new leaf here, and yeah, so far it's doing pretty well. I don't know if it will ever bloom, to be honest. It's got like purple tinge, so it looks like it's probably getting enough light, but I'm not sure. It's starting to kind of, you see how it's shriveling up its lower leaves. One already dropped. I think this one will drop next. So I'm not sure what to do. I might maybe need to like cut this plant somewhere here below this one aerial root and keep the top of it. And you know, I'm not sure yet because it sits in that pot, but there is no roots in this pot and I don't think it will grow anything. So I'm kind of a little bit afraid that, you know, this bottom part will start rotting as well, like sitting in this media, but I let it dry out completely so it doesn't do it. I mean, so far it seems to be okay, but I'm not sure if this is the best way to kind of keep this orchid. And I've got my Dendrobium Berry Oda here. It's got those two new growths that are establishing and growing really well. The third new growth here, it's not really doing so well, and it seems quite yellowish, you know, there is not much green in here, so I'm wondering if it's maybe not, like it's maybe rotting in here. I'm not too sure, it doesn't really look too good. But all the flowers dropped. Now you can see I cut all the spikes off, there was no flowers left, so I do actually see some small spikes inside. So once it establishes those growths, I'm gonna give it a bit of a rest and we'll see if maybe after that it will give me more flowers. And my Dendrochillum wenzellii, it's pushing out so many new growths. It started growing new growths again, so I don't know if I'll be able to reach. There is one here, but there is quite a lot of them everywhere. So looks like it's finally kind of establishing itself in this leca. It's not really got any water, so I need to water it. But yeah, that plant is actually now quite big, and I really hope it will bloom for me soon. It never bloomed for me. I have it, I've got it for over a year now, and you know, it seems to me big enough to bloom, so fingers crossed that will come soon. And then this shelf is one of the most exciting ones, so let me get you in closer. So my Angraecum, let me just check, because I always, yeah, that is Angraecum aloifolium. You can see this big root at the bottom, so the roots are doing well. It's finished growing its leaf here, and it's growing another leaf from the center. So this teeny tiny plant, it seems to be doing pretty well in leca and you know, in this basket, so that's really cool. And my Epidendrum keiki, check this out, it's so big now, and look at the top. At first I was thinking that it's a new leaf coming out, but actually I think it's a spike, because when the leaves are coming out they didn't look like this, they looked, you know, different. So I think we've got a spike coming. And if we go down, I've got a new growth coming from the base as well. So this keiki is doing super well. It never stopped growing since I got it. It's so cute. My Maxillaria sophronitis, I've got those 3 new growths, you know, they're still growing. This plant seems to be like quite slow, I think, in growing, and the roots are quite sensitive as well. I mean, you can see there is new roots there, and they're all, you know, they all kind of dried up at the tip or burned at the tip. So as soon as I touch media, they don't seem to be liking it too much. So I'm not pushing, you know, these other roots down into the media too badly. You know, I'll just let it do its thing. And Leptotes bicolor, it started drying off some of these oldest new growths. Fair enough, you know, they've been holding on for so long, and they've done a really good job. I've got so many new growths out of this orchid that, you know, I'm sure it will do well. I've got some spikes. You can see there's a spike here, there's another spike over there, and another one here, but they've been like that for ages. I mean, months, and they're not really moving much at all. So I'm not even sure, are they drying up? Are they establishing? What's going on with them? So we'll keep watching this plant. I hope it will bloom at some point. And my Tolumnia, this is the, I've got two, so this is not the peach one. This is the Flyer Golden Fan, I think it's called. It's a hybrid Tolumnia. So it is growing pretty well. There is so many roots in this pot, and you can see roots around the pot as well. Of course, no spikes, so it keeps annoying me and not growing any spikes, but we'll just have to deal with it and wait for it to bloom. My Dendrobium cucumerinum, it's just not looking good at all. You know, the new growths that I had here, they all dried up and died. I don't think this thing got any roots in the pot, but I'll just let it be and see what happens with it. Hopefully it pulls through, but yeah, it doesn't seem like it's moving much these days. And this is my biggest news for this update. Check out my Cattleya Green Emerald Orchid Queen. Look at this bud. I don't know if I can turn this pot. It's got like very long roots underneath, so I don't want to break them. But look at this bloom, or bud, sorry. This is massive. And it's been growing so well. I can't wait for this to open. And as it does, I'm definitely gonna show you it. I honestly didn't expect for this plant to bloom anytime soon. So, you know, when it pushed out this new growth, I kept looking at the base to see when the new growth will come out, you know, from here, from the base. And then I lifted my eyes and I was like, oh my god, it's a bud. So I've been watching this bud for a while, but yeah, it's establishing so well. I'm just honestly over the moon. I didn't expect a Cattleya to really be able to bloom with these LED lights, but what do you know, it's amazing. And my Oeoceoclades spathulifera, this is my seedling. It's not really doing much right now, so you know, after it established this new growth, it's, you know, these leaves are looking beautiful. This is the snake orchid. So yeah, it's doing pretty well. It's not really dropping any leaves. These leaves do seem very tired and they seem like they wanna come off, but they're still kind of holding on, so it's looking pretty good. But yeah, it's kind of in a rest mode, not really doing much. And my falcata Gojo Fukurin, so it's currently, I think, Vanda falcata Gojo Fukurin. So not really much going on with it. It's so slow that it's not really, you know, doing too much, but it's kind of plugging on. The leaves that it dropped on this growth, you can see that this leaf, the smaller one, is new, so it's keep pushing that out. I thought this fan might kind of collapse altogether, but doesn't look like it. So yeah, it's just sitting here in the corner enjoying the fan. Oh my god, I pushed it into the fan as always. So here we are. And my vanilla orchid, one of them, as you can see, just keeps dropping the leaves. And actually, I just noticed there is actually something green coming out of it. Can you believe it? So this is still wanting, I guess, to live, so that's good news. So yeah, we'll see how it does. It doesn't look happy at all right now. It's so tiny as well. It was a massive plant and I totally killed it. So let me go down. So on the shelf we've got Scuticaria novaesii. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It was supposed to be a giant plant, so I put it in this 9-centimeter pot and I thought it will fill this pot in no time. And what do you know, 6 months later or so, not really much happening. So there is new growth coming out of it constantly, but they're not really pushing on to be massive yet, and they grow so slow. I think I'm actually gonna move it into a smaller pot and just let it grow in a smaller pot. It might actually, you know, grow better roots in smaller pot as well. So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. My bulbophyllum lepidum is not really doing much at all, I have to say. I don't know if maybe this leca is like too dry. I keep watering it constantly, and you know, I said in one of my videos, oh actually you're gonna see that video next, so you've not seen it yet. But yeah, I don't seem to be doing like too well with shallow pots, and I think it's because they just dry out too quickly and I can't keep the humidity up, you know, as well as in normal pots. So, you know, this bulbophyllum is definitely not enjoying that. And this is my other vanilla orchid. As you can see, again, a tiny one, not really much going on with it. There are some roots in the pot, so it's doing a little bit better, but yeah, it's definitely not a happy plant, unfortunately. This is my Coelogene schilleriana, so it dropped all the leaves. The bulbs are starting to shrivel up as well a little bit, but I think other than that, it's probably just resting, I hope, or maybe it's already dying. So we'll see what happens in the spring. I hope that it pushes out some new growth or something. And this is another like super exciting story. So my Renanthera monachica is pushing something out here, and I can't decide if it's a root or a spike. I was asking some people on Instagram what they think, and there were mixed opinions. And somebody, you know, Michael McCarthy, I believe, said that this was probably a root because usually spikes come out on the same side as a new leaf. However, what Michael you couldn't see in the photo is that there is another leaf. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there is another leaf at the center just starting to grow, which would actually come on this side. So I'm not losing hope. I think this actually could be a spike, and if it is, I'll be over the moon. Again, another one that I was always hoping to get, you know, to bloom, but it's a Vandaceous orchid and they are very high light. So again, I wasn't sure if my LED lights will be enough to induce blooming on it, so I'll keep my fingers crossed and we'll see what happens with this guy. And my Cattleya schilleriana, this is a species orchid. It's doing so well. There is 2 pieces in here, and so this one, you can see this new growth with 1 leaf, and it's already got a new growth over there, so it's pushing out new growths really well. This smaller piece, it's got new roots coming out at the moment, so it's working on those. So both pieces are actually doing pretty well, and I think what I'll maybe do is I need to probably report it because some of the roots are coming out of the pot, and I want to maybe like put them in closer together and just make it a clump of 2 plants and just, you know, push all these roots back into the pot so it can grow better. And my Dendrobium specioso maizuru, you can see a green tinge coming on those yellow leaves, and that's a sign that it's got a new growth. And it's so tiny I won't be able to show you, but I actually did see, I think today or maybe yesterday, that there is a new growth coming out on this side of the plant. So yeah, this one is growing so well for me. I didn't expect it. I thought it was going to be pretty fussy, but it seems to be pretty pretty active and, you know, growing really well. And then this is my, I believe it's LC Coriads Mini Queenie Angel Kiss. So basically a hybrid Cattleya, miniature size, so it's pretty small. It's establishing this new growth here, and I don't think it's fully established yet. You can see the leaf is not fully open yet. No sign of the blooming. I'm really hoping for this one to bloom at some point. It seems, you know, a pretty big plant now. It's also got a new growth here, and also I believe this is a new root, but it's way too early for the root to come out, you know, from this growth. I mean, even this growth, which is a lot bigger, it's not started any roots yet. It's maybe easier to see from the other side, but there is just roots everywhere, and it's so difficult for me to show. But this new growth, as you can see, it's not really got any new roots. All these other roots are actually coming from this growth. So yeah, I'm a bit surprised to see this root coming out so early. So I'm not sure if it maybe belongs to this other growth. Anyway, it's doing well, it's growing well, it's quite bushy now. So yeah, let's hope that blooms come out. I know I say this every single month, but I really expect this orchid to bloom, you know, pretty soon. And we are now down to my kind of low light shelf, but I honestly don't know if this, you know, if this mesh is doing much. I don't think it's really giving like the reduction of light. I need to probably think of something else, how to make this shelf a bit lower light, because some orchids are not enjoying so much light. My Oncidium Twinkle Red Fantasy, I recently did a video on it, so you can check it out if you're interested. It's in full bloom and it's just beautiful. I've got my Cinnamon Twinkle behind it, and it's got its new growths that are growing pretty well. So, but no spikes anymore. I cut them off today. There was no blooms left. My Oncidium, I call it sweet sugar, but I'm not sure if that's correct, because, you know, I got it from the supermarket and it had no ID. So, you know, I'm not sure if it is a sweet sugar, but anyway, when I got it, it was a pretty nice plant and had beautiful yellow blooms. It had a new growth, it established that new growth, then that growth gave me 2 new growths. And at that point I decided to repot it because it had no roots coming out of those 2 new growths. So I thought this is a perfect time, it will start pushing out new roots. Unfortunately, it didn't push out any new roots from those 2 growths, so it really suffered badly, and you can see the pseudobulbs are shriveled up. And then I've got this other new growth right here, and it started pushing out one tiny root, which is that one at the back, and I kept watching it to make sure it actually goes down into leca, and it did. It reached the leca and it keeps going down, so that's good. Now I'm having another free roots here, and the 2 of them are kind of going down into leca, and they seem to be still happy, so that's good. I hope it's gonna have those, at least those 4 roots that will reach the median, will start hydrating the plant, and hopefully it will do well. As you can see, I lost so many leaves on this, and those 3 yellow leaves are not looking good either. So this plant really needs to push those roots hard so it can start hydrating this new growth before it loses those leaves as well, because it's not really got much energy left in there. And this is my Stanhopeia oculata seedlings. So yeah, they're kind of, you know, yellowing their leaves, and I'm not too sure if it's gonna survive. But it's got a new growth here, which I'm not sure if it's doing well or not, to be honest. And it's also got a new growth on the other side. You can see this bright thing at the base. So it's doing something, but you know, I'm not too sure if it's like how well it's gonna do. But these are tiny seedlings, so they're gonna take forever to get anywhere, you know, to become any kind of sizable plants. So yeah, I'm not holding my breath on these at all. And this is my Tolumnia peach. So this is the one that I potted up a few months ago. And look at the roots. They're just all over the place at the base. And there is also roots coming out of the pot. So it means that they are going down into the pot. And I think they're doing pretty well. And the plant itself, it seems to kind of to have plumped up. You know, it was quite shriveled up when I was repotting it. So yeah, and you know, again, I think this one is big enough to bloom, but you know, I'm not having much success with Tolumnia blooms. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully 2022 is gonna be the year. And my Dendrobium hibiki, it's just now pushing out so many new growths, and they are kind of establishing pretty well. So let me just move some plants around so I can actually show you. So it's quite difficult to see because these new growths are actually now pretty good size, but yeah, there is about 4 or 5 of them. There's a tiny one right in the middle. I don't know if it's gonna keep growing or not, and you can see one here as well. It's still kind of unwrapping its leaves. So yeah, this one is kind of, you know, doing pretty well, and yeah, growing a lot of new growths. No cakeys though, which is quite surprising. I heard that hibikis are usually kind of notorious, you know, for pushing out cakeys left, right, and center. No cakeys on this one yet, but maybe it's just not kind of mature enough to do that, but I'm sure it will start doing that at some point. And my Dendrobium pseudo-equitans is another species Dendrobium. And I just really like, you know, its grown pattern and its leaves. You can see some of these leaves are actually kind of shriveling up, so it doesn't look like it's too happy. But then it's had loads of new growths as well at the front, and it's got so many new roots. I had so much trouble with this orchid this year, so I think it is still trying to kind of recover. I had it, you know, planted different ways. I had it mounted even, so it feels like now it's, you know, it's in the right setup. So it likes it likes, you know, to have all this water with it. So I hope that it will now kind of get better and, you know, recover properly, and we will have a healthy, beautiful plant. And my Aspidogene, I keep forgetting, it's Aspidogene and then I forget. Argentea, that's it. I repotted it recently, just a few days ago, and this video will come out soon, so you'll be able to see what I've done with it. But you know, it's only been a couple days, so I can't really say what's going on. I think I'm gonna actually move it away, or I'm gonna have to replace this mesh so that it becomes truly low light area, or I'm gonna have to move this plant somewhere because I think it's getting too much light, and that's why it's got those yellowing edges on the leaves. But since I got it, it's grown so many leaves. It just looks really nice. I really like the patterning on the leaves. Okay, not much left to go. So I've got my Oeoceoclades perrieri. This is a small seedling as well. So again, it just like the other Oeoceoclades, it seems to be just kind of resting. And again, I really like the patterning on the leaves. This is not a snake orchid, but it's pretty similar. And it seems to be just resting just now, and you know, not really doing anything. But I like that, you know, it's not deteriorating. The pseudobulbs are still nice and plump. So, but yeah, it's so brown, you know, you can barely see it against the media. It just really blends in. And my Phalaeonopsis odorion is, you can see it's pushing out a new root from here. It's got a spike as well. If you can see it, it's quite small, you know, and quite like narrow, thin, I guess. So it's a bit weird. I don't know. It just finished blooming, so I cut the spike off, and now I've got this. And you know, I was kind of as well like thinking about what Michael was saying, that the spike grows from the same side as the leaf, and you see on this occasion it's actually not the case. So the spike is growing from the left hand side, whereas the newest leaf is on the right hand side and it's still growing, and I couldn't see anything in the center that it would grow a new leaf yet. So yeah, I just found it interesting, you know, what Michael says. I was just kind of trying to figure out like how it kind of works. But yeah, it looks like this one is a rule breaker. And my Garciana, so this is Prostechia Garciana. I just recently got this one. It was a gift from one of my subscribers, so it's very special to me. It's establishing this new growth. You can see it kind of got caught up in itself. So I guess when I reported it, probably all the roots were not, you know, doing a very good job. And before it established a new root system, it just kind of got dehydrated in the process. There is a spike here, sorry, a sheath, but again, it's also caught up in itself. I'm not sure if it will establish well, but it's got 2 new growths on each, so it's got 1 growth on each side, so 2 in total. So yeah, this plant is going to be super vigorous. And check out those roots. They are just, you know, not wasting any time. Look at all this branching. It's doing so well. I think they will fill the spot in no time. So this one is looking super vigorous. My Paphiopedilum blackjack, I think that this growth here, this fan, is dying off. You can see it's quite shriveled up at the base and it's actually all kind of brown. It's pretty solid though, so you know, I'm not gonna intentionally like break it off. I'll just let it be. I think it's still gonna be providing some of the energy to the plant, because I've only got 1 other fan left, which is not fully established yet. It's still pretty small, so I think it would be too soon to just remove it. And I also just noticed it's trying to push out another root here. I think I'll maybe actually take it out of leca, or maybe just put something on top so it can, you know, keep pushing this root and get some humidity. It tried pushing out 2 roots here, and you can see these spots are totally dried up, so it's not really liking, you know, that it's not got that much kind of humidity at the base. And I can't put leca too much higher up, because that would make the base of the plant inside the media, and you know, Paphiopedilums don't really like that, so it's quite tricky to get this, you know, to work. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. And my Dendrobium nobile keiki, it's losing all its leaves, so it's looking a bit sad. I can't see any new growths yet, so it is just resting. But yeah, I like that it's still so small. We'll see what the new growth is going to be like. I hope it's actually going to give me some blooms this year as well. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And then I've got this keiki. So this is my Dendrobium cuthbertsonii keiki. I just took it off the mother plant we saw on the windowsill. I'm just keeping this here. Again, I don't know if it really cares about the temperature, to be honest. It doesn't seem to be that bothered, so yeah, I'm keeping this one in leca to see how it goes. And so far, I don't know if it's enjoying it too much or not. It's just not really moving much, so yeah, we'll see what comes out of it. Okay, last but not least, this is my Macodes petola. So as I say, I'm keeping it now further away, so it's not on my shelves, but as you can see, it's still getting a bit of light from this side, and that's where my shelf is. So it is getting some light, but not as much, and I'm not really sure how it's doing. It's kind of, you know, keeps giving me those yellow leaves, and I cut them off, and then I see more of them coming out. So yeah, I'm not really sure, but it is, you know, it's pushing out these teeny tiny new growths everywhere. There is new leaves coming out, you know, from the center of those newer growths. You can see they're just everywhere. So it is growing, but at the same time it's yellowing as well. So I'm not sure. I thought this plant will like a lot of, you know, fertilizer as well. And yeah, maybe that's the problem. You can see I've got slow release fertilizer. There is quite a few beads in here, so it's maybe actually burning from this. Maybe I'll try and actually pick out as many as I can see, so it's not like getting so much of the fertilizer. I put it as an akadama, and you've seen my other jewel orchid, the Aspidogene. It's also in Akadama. So once I publish that video, I explained in there why I've done it and why I think Akadama works well for terrestrial orchids and for, for these jewel orchids in particular. So, I don't think Akadama is the problem. I think it's the fertilizer. So yeah, I'll maybe try and pick out some of the beads because I think I put quite a lot in this pot. And this is the rescue phal. I can lift the bag up, but we've only had it in here for a couple of weeks maybe. Not really much is happening. Leaves are still obviously shriveled up, and the root that we had in here, you can see it's still got this teeny tiny green tip here, but it's not opening up, but it's not closing off either. So yeah, it's just sitting here in damp moss. This bag and on top is just to help kind of increase the humidity around the plant, but yeah, it's gonna take a while obviously before anything happens, but at least it's not dead yet. So I guess that's something positive to take away. So if you guys stuck with me for this long, thank you so much for watching, and once again, thank you for all your support over the past year. I hope to see you all in New Year. Have a great New Year. Think of your New Year's resolutions and what you would want, and I hope they all go well for you in the next year, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!